Hey y'all, it's the Common Sense Cowgirl back at you. It's Saturday evening and there you can see what's going on out here at the ranch. Chickens are eating some leftovers. So I'd like to tell you guys while I'm out here walking around, I don't think a lot of people are actually understanding at this point what is going on in our world right now and the importance of the role that you have to play in the future, in the new future that we're creating. And the new future that we're creating is not this new world order, global reset. Yeah, it's a reset, but it ain't gonna go the way that these dark, ugly people want it to go. The cabal, the Khazarian mafia, whatever you want to call them. Hey, Teddy. What these sick people want to do is they want to control you. They want to control your life. And they're trying every darn way that they can think of to do that. They want to stop you from being sustainable, living a life off the grid. I mean, that's like a bad word to the government, off the grid, self-sustained living. They don't want any of that. They want you to be dependent on them. If the government right now had it their way, and this goes for both sides of the aisle, Democrat, Republican, it really doesn't matter. There's not that many Republicans that are good that are left anymore. Maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't know. That's probably like one of the only ones. And I don't even know about Ted Cruz. I'm on the fence. I personally don't like him, but just something about him. What they'd really like to have happen is everyone be even more dependent than we already are. We're already too dependent on the government. This is a problem. And I thought of something today with my own heritage. You know, the Cherokee people that lived in the Carolinas and Alabama and through there, because that's where the Cherokee were originally from. They made every effort possible to assimilate and actually be peaceful with the United States government. They even invented their own alphabet and printed their own newspaper in their own language and their own Bibles just to prove that they were just as smart as the American citizens, as this new government that was taking over their indigenous land. Because they thought that the best way to take their freedom back and to have freedom and to assimilate was to take a peaceful action and to prove that they were just as smart and that they would get respect for that. And in their culture, that is how you gained respect, was through intelligence and moral character. That's what counted. And you can't win like that when the enemy doesn't care if you have morals. They use that against you, and that's what they did to the Cherokee Nation. They rounded them up. There were women and children and elderly, sick people, and they marched them on a very, very long footpath in the snow, in the dead of winter. It's called the Trail of Tears. And the old people couldn't keep walking, and they walked until their feet were bleeding. And how did they round up these people? Well, some of the Cherokee did fight, but they died. And there weren't enough of them that actually fought back, was the problem. So the warriors, the men that did fight, they died in vain, and no one remembers their names. Those names are covered up because the victor is who writes history, and they make sure that the names of the brave that lost are forgotten. And so, through fear tactics, because the women and children and the elderly saw their husbands and the warriors of the tribes murdered and slaughtered, because they saw that, they were afraid to continue to fight back, and they thought that the only chance of life they had was to do what they were being told by these soldiers and be rounded up and marched to a new land, which was in Oklahoma. Why did they take them to Oklahoma? Trust me when I tell you, if you've ever been to Oklahoma, no shade for any Oklahoma people that might hear this. Okay, if you've ever been to Oklahoma, you would understand why they were giving the land away for free. Honestly, it's flat, it's beautiful, green, lush, yes, but it's flat, nothing land, and it is not near as bountiful and beautiful as where those Indians were originally from. There was just not the food supply there. And they marched them to a new climate even where they were not used to. And this is all on purpose. It's by design. It's genocide. And it's by design. They did this on purpose. There were other tribes of Indians that they did this to as well. I'm only talking to you about the Cherokee because my ancestors were on the Trail of Tears. One of my great-great-great-grandmothers carried her baby brother on that trail, and that's the only reason that he survived. And when you think about that, and you think about where those Indians were taken, they were taken to a prison. It was a prison camp. They call them reservations. What they are is concentration camp for unwanted natives, because the native people were actually so damn intelligent and so advanced in their civilization that they were a threat to the American government that had been established by that time. This is not the original government of 1776. People need to understand that. The 1776 government that the Founding Fathers created is not the same one that marched the Indians on the Trail of Tears. That government paid and bought land through barter and trade from the original Indians. That's why we have Thanksgiving. Just think about that. We exist right now because of Thanksgiving, because some Native Americans took pity on the Europeans that were about to starve to death and die, and we had this amazing feast together because we were friends with the Indians, or we tried to be, and they tried to be friends with us at some point. So the government, by the time the Trail of Tears happened, had already started to decay to the point that it was in the beginning stages of what it is today. Oppressive and wanting to create people that were dependent on them. And that's what the reservations are to this day. They are nothing but Indian concentration camps. Those people there, they are intentionally guinea pigs for the big V word, for inoculations, for medicines. They have crappy health care, to be honest. Yeah, it's free health care, but nothing is ever free, trust me. You think they're going to give them the best health care possible? It's free. Come on. Nothing in life is free, trust me. They have very, very poor nutrition. Their education system is the worst. Probably worse than very poor Black communities. Maybe not. I don't know all that much about the comparison to those two, but I know that it's bad. They get led into drugs, and they don't really have a whole lot of programs to help them or encourage them or teach them how special they are. Instead, these Native Americans live a very grim life when they stay on the reservation, aka the concentration camp. And what this whole long speech is this evening, sitting in the grass, watching the pony eat, is if you think history doesn't repeat itself, you better pay attention, because it's about to. And if you don't do something about it, your goddamn mask wearing is about to put us under, and I don't think you understand how imperative it is for you to stand up and take your rights back. And that's all you have to do. Stop being peacefully placating just to not offend other people. Stop putting on the mask because I'm afraid I might get told to put one on. I'm afraid that I might get in a confrontation today. Grow a fucking set of nuts, or we're all going to be like the Native Americans in the concentration camps. Well, y'all will be. I won't. I won't. I will not be removed from my house while I'm still breathing. It will only be at the end of a very hot barrel. I will fight for my rights because I am an American born and bred. My ancestors have been here, my European ancestors, since the late 1500s. That's a lot of generations. And the native side, well, for a very long time before that. So I'm not going anywhere. And if you don't enjoy being an American and you'd like to throw your freedoms in the trash, and you'd like to continue the lockdowns, and you'd like to line up for ridiculous things like emergency order, big V word, inoculation trials, it's not even approved. This is like a trial. Instead of using lab rats, they're using people now. That's what we've become to the government. So if you would like to stop that, and you don't want this to continue and your children to be brainwashed and your children to grow up being socialists, not even realizing that's what's going on right now, then you need to stand up and do something about it. And what you can do about it, take your children out of public schools, send them to a private school if you can afford it. Lots of private schools have tuition programs that help parents pay for those things. Or homeschool your kids if at all possible. Get a homeschool group together with some other families and share the burden of homeschooling all the children. Homeschooling is gaining popularity right now for good reason. It doesn't make backwards children that are socially awkward. It actually teaches kids something. Like, let's play in the dirt and learn stuff about nature and learn about our world and other cultures and not be afraid of people, because people shouldn't be feared. We all want the same things in life. We all want freedom. And we all want to be left alone to live our life the way we want to live it. And that's what we should all focus on, is how do we achieve that? Well, we don't achieve it by holding hands with the government. No politician ever did a damn thing that was good for any of us. Remember, the founding fathers were not politicians. The first president, George Washington, didn't even want to be the president. They had to talk him into it. Politicians have never done anything for this country. They never won our independence. And they damn sure aren't going to keep our freedoms for us. In fact, they just want to make you be their little worker bee to keep paying their bills. You work, you pay your taxes, which then pays for them to have yachts and planes and fancy dinners and hookers and all the things. So if you'd like to continue paying for the prostitution ring that makes up Washington, D.C., these are the people that are telling you what to do and making laws and running the country. And it happens in every state on a smaller scale. If you'd like to keep paying for that, then keep doing what you're doing. But if you're tired of it and you'd like to take your freedom back and keep your hard-earned money and just live your best life, then you should probably join forces with the rest of us patriots. Take the mask off. Don't get the inoculation. Don't get the big V word. And start thinking for yourself and researching and asking questions. That's called common sense.